So the next step to this fishbone to analyze it. Let me show you something. I don't know if I can share the screen. Here you go. Okay, go ahead and change my host thing, and so I can share my screen. Yes, it should work. Okay, so now this is like from my program. You can see this, right? Everybody?
Yes.
Okay, so how can I? Okay, here we go. So now we have to do the problem diagnosis. We did the fishbone last time, right? So now this week you will diagram and analyze the policy problem, means the recruitment problem, that we described last week. So last week we basically described the problem, right? We described. Now, that is the one that we did, right? That's the one we did. Okay, now you have to interpret it. We have to interpret it. So who can tell me? Now, I want you to read this, and based on it, we are going to interpret. Sorry. Okay, in the past, in this part, I'm sorry, you will be doing problem interpretation based on the diagram that we did. I want you to look at the diagram that you did, and we'll look at it in a minute. Again, the one that Sister Mariam put on the screen, we're going to put it back on after we read this. What is a grounded interpretation? Your interpretation should supposed to be grounded in your diagram. Don't interpret from something outside. That means that should be on inside. So don't go with your description outside the diagram. Otherwise, that means you did not do the diagram right. So if you find some information you're bringing from outside, that information should supposed to be in the diagram. So the purpose of this diagram is to make all causes and sub-causes visible, causes of the problem visible to you. So if you find a cause that you start interpreting that's not there, that means you need to put it there. So the conclusions you draw about this policy problem should be related to your Ishikawa diagram. When I say policy problem, is the problem, right? Policy problem is a problem that needs policy. So the course I'm taking is relating to policy of a country, policy of an organization, policy of this, policy of that. But consider the word policy as the solution. Consider the word problem is the problem. Problem, policy, problem means a problem that needs a policy, a problem that needs a solution. Okay. Now, number one, we have to know something called the policy actor. Policy actor, so plural actors. So we have to reflect after we look at our diagram. We have three categories. I want you to write them down. Three categories. For any solution to be valid to any problem that exists, you have to have three categories. There are three categories. Three categories are the markets, the government, the civil society. That's in the level of a government, right? Government is like the United States government or the Texas government, starting with the governor, right? Government has the three branches on the federal level, on the state level. Okay. The market, anything that you sell in the markets, the economy, the consumer, the people. And the civil society means the human rights, women's rights, this right and that right. That's called, civil society, or the opposition. The opposition, party in politics. So always you find those three. Now, if you come down to the ISGH, where is the government? Any sister? Where is the government?
IGH.
ISGH what?
The board members of the ISGH.
You are ISGH, I am ISGH, right?
The
But
head.
when I say, yeah, that's why ISH is an organization, right? But what is the government in that organization? The executive,
Board member.
right?
The
Board
whole,
member.
the members governing the.
Exactly, the word governing, the governance, you know, those who are running the organization. Brother Nazir is the government. Brother Nazir and Majid Salam is the government. Ayman Kabir is the government. Okay, so this is the government. You know, Brother Abdul Qadir, the custodian, is the government. So people who are running the show, you know, some of them volunteer, some of them not, but they are the decision makers and the carriers of the decision, essential truths. Who's the market?
The membership of the ISGH?
Yes, the students in the weekend school. Yes. The Musallin who come for the Salah. So those who are benefiting from the masjid. The youth who are playing basketball at night in the masjid. People who do weddings in the masjid, right? The people who come and have meetings in the library. The sisters who have classes. Those are the markets. Who's the civil society? Civil society. Civil society will be the advocacy groups, like those who are putting the government in check, like those at the time of election, for example. We can say the Houston Muslim group on Facebook, for example, right? That's a civil society. So people who are saying what they like and what they don't like, people who say that we want this program and we don't want that program. It's not necessarily the market. Market is the consumers, the people who are benefiting from the programs. But the civil society are the ones who are trying to direct the society to a certain thing. So you have to identify those three when we do the interpretation of the diagram. You have to identify those actors. See, we wrote the causes, right? Now we have to identify the actors. Okay, so this is the three groups. We have to reflect on those, on which of the three categories of the actors and which failures are present based on what you learned last week. Note each actor or failure and explain where it relates to your diagram. Write up the 3 paragraphs. So I'll give you an example of what I wrote. My problem, remember what was my problem? Like coming up with a marriage agreement, a marital agreement for multi-ethnic faith-based group. So I have people from all over the world. There are different cultures, different ethnicities. And I have sometimes religious also orientation, Hanafi, Maliki, whatever. And then you have they're all faith-based in ISGH, faith-based, because we're Muslims. We're different from others. So how can I make a marital agreement that fits all of those? So I identified my problem. Then I did the Ishikawa, thing. I'm going to show it to you again here. So solving marital disputes for a multi-ethnic faith-based community. My main categories were, disparities in cultural background. People are culturally different. Religious and cultural beliefs are different. And then, you have, various organizational loyalties and affiliations. Apparent conflicts between religion and the legal system. Under each one, I made these subcategories. The difference between following religion and practicing it, there's a difference in people's head and people's practices. Absence of religious modules similar to legal ones. We don't have everybody come and say, what is my religious rights? But they can go to the court and find things out. They can go online and find things out. Now we have under various organizational loyalties. This is Al-Faruq, this is ISGH, this is the Madrasa Islamiyya, this is the Mass Katie. Everybody has different things. So most religious, nonprofits, they act independently. They don't act in coordination with other nonprofits, especially if there is a problem like divorce or a problem like, youth suicide or drugs. They do not unite together. Everyone acts independently, and that adds to the problem. And then you have micromanagement and lack of coordination. You have micromanagement. Everyone is micromanaging its employees and its volunteers and everybody. So don't go anywhere. Subcategories of disparities in cultural background. You have fear of integration in larger society, losing cultural identity. You have many brothers and sisters that come to the masjid and they're afraid to be part of the American civil society and all of that. You have taboos and stigmas around divorce and counseling. You are a majnoon if you go to counseling, and you are a bad woman if you divorce once or twice. Divorce 3 times means you are like a promiscuous woman or something. This is too much. That's problems, religious and cultural beliefs. You have inappropriate dispensing of religious knowledge with people. If there's a masjid salam, they have appropriateness in delivering the religious message. You just walk into another masjid and see how the teachers teaching children, how the sisters are getting their information, how the youth are getting their Islamic knowledge. You don't have to go far. Just walk to any random masjid and you will see horrible stuff happening. Absence of educating community and about larger culture. And that's what we do at Masjid Salam, for example. We teach people about the larger culture. We bring others from outside to speak about the American culture, to speak about home financing, to speak about, bleeding, prevent the bleeding, respiratory system. We're going to talk about the strokes. And you're in America, this is your rights. You bring lawyers to speak to you. Yeah. So this is my diagram here and the different things. Now, when I start analyzing there, keeping in mind the government, the market, and all that, let's look at this now. So you say Islamic nonprofits do not have enough focus on marital disputes soaring within their communities. Does anybody disagree with this?
No.
I'll take this as if you disagree, start speaking. If you agree, be quiet. Yeah, I know you agree. So Islamic nonprofits do not have enough focus. Sometimes don't have focus at all. But I'm just trying to be polite here. Islamic nonprofits don't have enough focus on marital disputes soaring within their communities. Why? This is due to the organization structure. The structure itself, very old school. It is archaic. It is like a dinosaur. Lack of coordination among organizations. Everyone is afraid that the other one will take over somehow. And they are competition. So our sheikhs cannot give khutbah in other masjids. This is a shallow, vision and narrow-mindedness. I'm sorry, but this is what's happening. We are not mature enough to realize that we have to be together now. And coordinating with other organizations doesn't mean a threat to your political or your administrative structure. If you think like that, that means your administrative structure is not strong enough. Problems you. So absence of umbrella social organization and fear of compromising religion and culture. Education is key on the level of board members, elected officers, and the grassroots, religious leaders, and interfaith or intrafaith programs. Interfaith means between Islam and Christianity, and intrafaith between Shia and Sunni and all of that. This is within the faith, right? Programs would be a great vehicle to deliver activities and programs helping mitigate the problem. Have to. Now there is a potential leverage point. What is the leverage point? Leverage. What is a leverage? You have to just design our program, our diagram, with relevant causes and subcauses for our policy problem. Now we'll have to examine the diagram and identify 3 of those causes or subcauses, which seem like opportunities for policy intervention. You see, we're not looking for the intervention itself, but we're going to choose 3. We're going to look at the diagram now, and we will identify in a minute. Okay, that would impact your problem. Briefly describe 2 sentences, each of these leverage points, and explain why you find it promising. Said it's education, and inviting nonprofit organization to collaborate, and you have to educate the community, the religion, in a way showing no contradiction with American culture or religious beliefs. That's what I do, alhamdulillah, at Masjid Salam. This is, I have to educate my community about the deen in a very relevant way that fits the streets, that fits your workplace, that fits your neighbors who are non-Muslims, that fits everything outside. So I have to teach you Salah and how Salah can affect you outside in the American society. I teach you about Sadaqah and how that can help. I teach you about truthfulness and how that can, help you outside. And then I have to invite the nonprofit organization to collaborate. And alhamdulillah, they started doing that. This organization is giving that problem. Why don't giving that service? Why don't hire them? Why don't retain the service of that? And to start bringing to Masjid Salam different people, African American community, people from the women's advocacy groups, people from here, people from there, and you started doing it. It takes a lot, by the way, sisters, of planning, and it's not like a sheikh who comes and just teach like that. This is what it takes, for us to do things. It's not simple. And it's not easy. Now let's go to the diagram, Sister Mariam, please. Let's go back to the diagram. Let's stop the sharing. Let's go back to the diagram again.
Okay. Share screen. Can we all see?
Yes.
Thank you.
So we're good? Okay.
Yes, we're ready.
That's great. All right. Now, when we look at this, I want one of the sisters to tell me from this. Now we know what is the market, what is the government, and what is the civil society, right? So civil society here, because sometimes you're going to have a hard time to find the civil society. Civil society here are the people who are not volunteers, who are not necessarily volunteers, who are not running the show. They are not consumers. They can be consumers, but the civil society cannot be government. So the board of IGH, the management of IGH, those who are being paid to do work at IGH, this is government. Is that clear? I hope this is clear. So everybody who is in the administration and administrative capacity, even if they're volunteers, they're called government. And those who are paid, like myself, like the custodian or the person in the office, they are government. Now, consumers and volunteers can be market and can be civil society as well. So you are a consumer, you are a market, you are a member of IGH, but a member of IGH can have a group, an advocacy group that will fight for the rights of sisters in IGH programs. Like, where are the sisters, educational programs? We sisters, we want that program for sisters. That's called civil society now. Civil society is the one that telling the administration and the government, we're not happy with what you do, or we are happy with what you do, and where is this and where is that? Checks and balances. They are the ones who are there to make sure that they are accountable. That's called civil society. And they put the imam accountable, put the administration accountable, put everybody accountable. That's civil society. You can be volunteering in the masjid, but you can be civil society as well. It's like people in the government, in the Congress. The government is the ruling party or the majority, but the opposition, which is also part of the government, they can be the civil society as well. Okay, so civil society are the ones who are holding the one running the show accountable. Okay, so we have those 3 in our head now. So I want you to look at those 6 main causes, and we have about 18 sub-causes. All right? Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13, or 13 to 15, but let's say 13 subcauses. And we have categories and we have causes. So we have categories, we have the category or the cause, you know, we call them that. And then we have the subcategories or subcauses. So which three of all of these that you can look at carefully and say, Sheikh, those three we can solve. We can actually tackle and we can find something with them. Those are the three that we can see that we can work with. Even if we come up with 5, we'll make them 3 at the end. So who's going to go first? You unmute yourself, please. Go ahead. Anybody?
I think I'm a bit confused about the question. Can you ask the question again?
Okay. From those categories and subcategories, forget about category or subcategory, from every single reason written there that leads to the problem, what would be the main 3? We need to choose 3 only that we can work on.
I would say media outlets, survey, and analysis.
Okay, write those down for yourself, please. Who else? Sister Mariam, did you write it?
Yep.
Okay. Can you repeat them so Sister Nurat can tell you if they are the ones?
Yeah, so she said media outlets and analysis.
Sister Nurat,
Yes, sir.
what did you say?
Yes. Media outlets, survey, analysis, information management, under information management.
Okay, all right. So who else? Anybody else, please participate and tell me what would be the main. You can say 1 point, you can say 2, you can say 3 points, no problem. Just tell me like 3 things that you can work with. Abir Abbasi.
I had a feeling you were going to call on me, so I was thinking of an answer.
Go ahead.
I would say retention,
Okay.
linking it to faith, and management.
Which one is the second one?
Relating it to faith under accountability.
Okay, under accountability. So one under accountability, which is relating it to faith. One under interest and motivation, which is retention, right? And what is the third one?
The third is under logistics, management.
Management. Okay. Who else? Thank you, Abir. One more sister can go. Go ahead. Don't be shy. Just go ahead. Say anything. Say 1, say 2, say 3. It doesn't matter.
I was trying to keep quiet because I always end up being the one speaking. But I do think the 2 main ones that I feel are awareness of impact and scope of assignment.
Good. All right. Okay. So can you, Sister Mariam, read all of them slowly?
Okay. Yes. So the first one is media outlets, an analysis that's from information management. we have another sister saying retention, relating it to faith and basic management, logistic-wise.
Mhm.
And then another one with awareness of their impact and the scope of assignment.
Okay. Now, who can tell me that any of those relating to market, government, or civil society? Think about your three. The sisters who give were three sisters, each one of them give three. So think about your three and say that this is relating to the administration. This is relating to the society, the consumers market. This is relating to the civil society or the advocacy group or something.
I think the last one that I said, awareness of impact and scope of assignment, is the marketing it to the civil.
So this is the market. So the people need to be aware of the impact, right?
That they will bring, yes.
Okay.
And the scope of their assignment.
Good. So can you write that in front of them, please?
Okay.
Can you write this, that this is relating to market? It is not their responsibility. I'm not saying what is their responsibility. I'm saying relating to them. Okay, Sister Nurat, can you tell me about your three?
The information management under media outlets would be government.
Okay, good. So what, anything else?
The survey would be the participants.
Okay, good.
The members.
So that would be the market. Very good. Okay, Sister Abir.
Retention would be the market, I think.
Okay.
Relating it to faith would be government.
Okay.
Management would also be government.
Okay, that's very good. So now, when you're analyzing, you kind of understand which one that this thing will impact or it needs. It needs government or it will impact the government. It needs the government, but it will impact the market. You need to think like that, all right? So now, those are the ones marked in red. They are the ones that we chose, okay? So basically, we're finding that everything is government or market. Do you see that now in front of you? What would be an issue here?
Middleman is missing.
What is that? The civil society is missing.
The civil society is missing, yeah.
Yeah, so that means what? We don't have enough voices in the community that actually become the liaison between the market and the administration.
Wow, Sheikh, you nailed it.
Huh?
You nailed it.
So basically, like people are criticizing, but it is not reaching to the government, and the government are making laws without consulting with the market. Yeah. And the market is complaining and complaining and complaining, but it goes in vain. And the government saying, well, people are not interested, Sheikh, they're indifferent. So we just go ahead and do what we do. Yeah. So now, please resist the temptation of seeing this as a solution. Okay? I want you to resist because we're still working on the problem, right? I know you said, all right, that's our chance. Okay, Sister Nurat or Sister, let's go do civil society and, no, don't do that. We're just now saying that the civil society is missing. There are not enough voices. So now we have another problem, right? Another sub-problem of recruiting Ramadan volunteers. So you don't have that middle person that will convince the volunteers of the vision of the government. So the recruiter actually now needs to be a specific person, not any person. All right? So we'll come to that. So now those 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 red, government or market, can we consolidate them to 3? We just need 3 to work on. What would be the 3 things that we can work on among those 7 things or 6 things that we wrote? 7.
Management.
Yeah,
so
management.
relating to faith, maybe.
How about media outlet surveys?
Yes,
Yes.
survey is very important. That would be our
Why?
civil society.
Yes, exactly. So why are we choosing this? Reason number 1, that can be civil society, right? That, media outlets, and we'll do surveys and all of that. This is the, can be. Now, analyzing information is the next step to the survey. So let's do the survey first, yeah? So we're going to do media outlet surveys. So media outlet, we're going to work on the media outlet, and we're going to do the surveys and all of that. So this is one that we will work on to solve this problem. And we will say why this has a potential impact on my problem solution, right? But we mark the media outlet survey. We can change the color maybe of that whole thing, media outlets. Is survey was the different one, or media outlets survey was one? So media outlets was 1 and survey was 1, or media outlets and survey was 1?
They were both separate. It was more like media channels and then surveying people. Okay, let's do media outlets only then, because media outlets will result in surveys, right? Yes.
So let's highlight the media outlets. The word media outlets, yeah, let's highlight that one. And then we are going to do the relating it to faith. Yeah, you can do that, relating it to faith. Can we do relating it to faith and awareness of impact together? Make them one category together.
Relating it to faith and which one?
And awareness of impact together.
Yes.
One. That's one. That's one subcategory. Instead of 2 subcategories, we make them one subcategory.
Yeah.
We're going to call it awareness of impact through faith. Through faith. So you're gonna change the whole the whole statement. We can say awareness of impact through faith. Just erase the relating it to faith and put through faith under awareness of impact.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm saying or no?
Yes, I got you. I'm just doing the. That's great.
Just leave it like that. Leave it
Yeah.
like that for now, and you can edit it later on. Okay.
Sure.
That's it, sisters. Okay, now from today, what we learned is very important, right? It's very important. What I want you to do, you're going to go and Sister Mariam, you're going to do what we just talked about and send a copy to everybody, right?
Yes.
And please download. I send you a link. Download your own diagram and redo it. And redo all those things and edit and do that while we are working, okay? And do your own. So don't forget to do your own issue. If you want to share it with me at the end, there's no problem. If you don't want to share it, that's okay. That's fine. It's meant for you. It can be an issue at home, at workplace, with the neighbors, within yourself, your iman, lack of something, not doing something on time, quitting fast. You can just use your own thing and try to make categories and subcategories like that, and then you see who's impacted by it and all of that. So now we are going to get to a solution now, right? Almost getting there. What I want you to do, when you go home, let me go back again, and if you make me able to share again, Sister Mariam.
Yeah, I think you still can.
Oh, I still can share?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, let me see now what I need to share. No, not that one. Okay, before we leave, I'm going to give you something to look at. Okay, I'm going to share it now. How do I do this? Okay, here we go. Share screen. Okay. All right. So that is the continuation of my homework with the course I'm taking. All right. So we will diagram a theory of change. What do we call it? Theory of change, or a log frame. What do we mean by that, sisters? We mean that if this is the solution, that's what we're going to see. If I work on those things, that's how the problem will be impacted. I'm not saying that's a solution, okay? I'm not saying like, if I solve this problem, this is what's going to happen. You see the difference here? That's why we chose those three things. So we're going to do something called the log frame. Based on the leverage points, that's what we're going to do. Those, three things that we identified. Then we will use this diagram to support some analysis of technical correctness. What do I mean by technical correctness? For every project to succeed, for every solution to have impact, we need three components. It needs to be technically correct. Repeat it after me within yourself, yani. Technically correct. Technically correct. It needs to be politically supported. Repeat that within yourself. Politically supported. Technically correct, politically supported. Organizationally implementable. It needs to be implementable, easy to implement. So it needs to be technically correct. It needs to be politically supported. And it needs to be organizationally implementable. Meaning what? Technically correct. It means like, a car, it needs to be mechanically working to be a car. Politically supported, that we need the license. I need to be able to drive. Somebody to tell me you're able to drive. And it needs to be organizationally implementable, means I can take that car actually and drive on the freeway. Okay, so there are freeways that I can drive the car on. So basically, if we come to the ISGH, you need the solution to be technically correct. You cannot bring some dreamy kind of idea. No, it needs to be technically correct. You need a volunteer who's able to do 1, 2, 3, A to Z this way, technically correct. The qualification and all of that technically correct. Politically supported. They have to be approved. Yeah. So the administration of the masjid tell you, oh, this guy has a criminal record. No, I cannot hire. They have to be politically supported. And they have to be organizationally implementable. Like when they come, there's a schedule. They have a place to do the babysitting. They have a place to do that. I hope you understand, right? All these three have to be there. So now you may be tempted to discuss political organizational factors this week. Please resist this and focus your efforts on questions like technically only. We're going to do technically only, technicality only. But that's okay. I mean, if you do that, if you talk about politics and all that because of the sake of time, that's all right. So now technically, say if authorized, if this volunteer recruitment program authorized and implemented as designed, like as we normally do, will this solution make progress or not? Like, we have to just do what you will see in a minute. What you'll see in a minute, I'm going to show it to you now. Every step of your theory of change should be a plausible link to the step before and after it. If this happened, then this happened. If this happened, then this happened. So now I chose one solution that I'll work on only for the technical correctness. I'll say approaching Islamic nonprofits in Houston, Texas for collaboration among themselves to create a policy dealing with marital disputes. So I'm going to talk to all the Islamic centers, send them a letter telling them this is an issue that we have. We'll talk about it. Let's have a meeting and all of that. So that would be one step closer to solve my problem. How I'm going to do that? So I'm going to caucusing with family counseling and couple therapy service provider in town, support the need for marriage contract and mitigate the problems. When I approach the Muslim leadership and advocate for marital dispute awareness, seeking support of local attorneys and family court judges to understand the challenges of Texas Family Code, accommodating faith-based marital agreements, working with attorneys to design a prenuptial agreement that accommodates Islamic rulings. All these things I had in my PhD thesis, so I'm just writing it in this course, don't think I'm a genius or anything like that. This is just stuff that I came up with after 3 years of research. All right, so this is like, I'm working with an attorney actually now to design that kind of agreement. It's an Islamic/Texas legal agreement of marriage. Okay, now you see this? Everybody seeing this diagram? Sister Miriam, you will try to
Yes.
Download this or give an editable one from the internet like I did.
Mhm.
It's just a simple one. It's a simple one, like, if I create a legal religious prenuptial agreement, okay, what's going to happen next? So introducing this customizable agreement to Islamic centers officiating religious marriages. Then what's going to happen next? Islamic center promoting and providing this service as part of officiating marriage packages. Then what happens next? Couples adopting this agreement. Then what happens next? The solution. Less litigation and court disputes, no conflict between civil and religious marriage dissolutions, marriage is saved. Can we apply this to the volunteering recruitment thing? So if we succeeded to find a solution that recruits volunteers for Ramadan, then what's going to happen next? We're going to take it to the administration. But you write that, so you have to take it to the administration as a proposal, as something like that would be worked upon. And then they were going to adopt it, and then we're going to hire those volunteers, and then we don't have a problem with volunteers in Ramadan. You see? So we're going to have that, the way I just said it now, ready for next week, inshallah. But next week, I'm not going to be there because this is the week I'm traveling, actually. I'll be in the airplane arriving to Houston. So do you mind that this first week of March, like on a Saturday or Sunday, that we can meet in person instead of the Wednesday?
I think I'll put it out there.
Yes, please
Get
do.
that.
And if not, then we will go for the next week. And I'm not going to leave this project until we solve the problem before Ramadan.
Inshallah. Okay.
Okay, because it is worth it. Once we do it, there are two benefits, inshallah. Two benefits. One, we solve the problem of recruiting volunteers. Two, we have a template to solve every single problem in Masjid Salam.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yes?
Yes.
So every step of those will count for the rest of the year. And inshallah Rabbil Alameen, I'm going to give you a certificate of completion of problem solution, right? At the end of this. I'm going to give you, like, you finish that from an Islamic perspective, like, problem, solution according to, from an Islamic perspective, and that you studied that, and alhamdulillah, you are part of this team that inshallah will be called upon in Masjid Salam whenever we have a challenge.
Inshallah.
Cool. All right. So I really appreciate and I enjoy your company. I enjoyed this class. I hope you all benefit from it. And everything we do, everything we say here that is good, it's from Allah Azza wa Jal. And everything that we say which is not good, it's from our bad selves and from shaitan, and may Allah forgive us for it. And we always relate everything to our deen. Our deen is the most beautiful, deen in the world. This is a way of life. It is our way of life. It is our life. And everything we study, it has a base in the Quran and the Sunnah of Rasulullah. Never ever think otherwise. Never ever think otherwise. It just looks great and all of that because we are ignorant of it. We don't know it. But if you search, you will find the way Allah Azza wa Jal give is the best way there is, inshallah. Jazakallah khair, and absolutely, and I'll see you next week, inshallah. But if not Wednesday, because today's Wednesday, coming Wednesday I will be traveling back to Houston, inshallah. All right. Okay. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.